Sometimes when you're torn between decisions on what to do next, life will come along and make that decision for you. And that is what has happened here in this garden. The chickens have learned that they can simply jump over this fence and eat for free all the things. And for several years, this garden fence has, for the most part, kept them out. I've had to, make some adjustments here and there, but they respect it for the most part, and I've never had a huge problem with chickens getting inside my garden. But all it takes is that one chicken to do the unthinkable, and the rest are like, oh my goodness, why didn't we think of that too? So this morning I came in and there were five chickens in here, and they hadn't done too much damage. I came out at like 7:30 in the morning and got them all out of here. And then I promptly made the effort to clip the wings of most of the girls. I missed one. She's a wily little thing, and she wouldn't let me catch her. But I'm hoping, if there's not several chickens in here, one won't want to be the outlier. But that has made my decision for me of which garden project I'm going to do next. I see they ate some lunch as well. Goodness. Now I know I've expressed multiple times that I want to build a more permanent chicken run fence situation because I just have the electric netting, which just doesn't work very well in my very hard rocky soil. So all of the stakes are broken. The fence still works, it's great. But at the same time, I also let the chickens free range every day. I mean, the fence turns on and it works, but I just leave the gate open so they can forage around the property and pick up whatever scraps they might find. And till random soil, leave their nitrogenous manure everywhere. I like them free ranging. So if I really think about the practicality of building a chicken fence, I feel like it would be a slight waste of money because I'm not fencing anything in right now. I'm not fencing in my chickens, they just roam around, and I wouldn't be fencing out any predators because really the only issues with predators I have here are coyotes, and they can jump a 6-foot fence with ease and grace. So, and I'm not going to build a completely enclosed chicken coop because, like I said, I like to free range my chickens. They are more than protected inside their coop at night, which is all I really need. I don't need protection during the day. I have 3 large dogs that keeps everything out. So I don't think I'm going to do the chicken fence anymore. At least right now, and definitely not this year. What has taken priority, obviously, is the garden fence that needs to be done, and that's because of the chickens. I've also always had this dream of like a very pretty woven wire fence with wooden fence posts all around my garden. It's just we haven't really needed a fence because I have this little plastic guy, and I'm very frugal. So I don't mind using stuff even if it looks ugly if it works, and it was super cheap. But it's no longer working. And just because see? I don't even know how she got in here. What are you doing? Are you so thirsty, ma'am? Okay. You're gonna have to get out of here. Right there. Exhibit A. So I need a fence. That's the big project that's going to happen first. And then, of course, more garden beds. That's a yearly project. That's a given. I am always trying to expand this garden so I can grow more food. But that's a far less involved process. I can make a couple garden beds in a couple hours. And it'll be easy. I see you. You best stay out of here. And I'm pretty excited about building this fence because I've got a ton of materials here, like these 3x3s and ththese leftover 4x4s that I'm going to use as my fence posts that I don't have to purchase. And then Tractor Supply has some 4-foot by 100 feet woven wire rolls. I don't know, I think it's less than $60, I'm pretty sure. And I shouldn't need more than one of those. I shouldn't need more than one of those rolls. So I could basically build my entire garden fence for less than $100, which would be super awesome because I'm very frugal. So I'm not totally sure when this is going to start happening. Probably next week I might start digging some holes for the posts, or at least go and get the fencing. I've been working all weekend. We've had the kids all week for their holiday break. So I haven't really done much out here. I haven't done a lot of videos because I've just been either in the house with the kids or at work or just doing stuff. It's been a very busy week. But next week I will have time to begin projects and start building things, which is exciting, super exciting. I'm still relaxing. I'm still in my season of rest and I'm not doing much with the garden, but it is nice weather to get out here and start on projects before the spring garden. Just insolent, right behind my back. And speaking of a spring garden, I won't be growing with one this year, at least not in the traditional sense of a spring garden. I won't be planting, a ton of cold hardy crops before the frost to have before my summer garden. So when I say traditional spring garden, I'm meaning like all of these plants that I have here in the garden right now, planting those again during the cooler weather of spring to get a harvest. So broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, various root vegetables, things like that. I will not be planting any more of that for a spring garden for two reasons. First off, I have tons of plants in here that still haven't come to maturity and very well may come to maturity in spring should they survive these next 2 months during our really cold season. And then secondly, we don't really have a spring here in the high desert. It's freezing at night and then just ramps up heat super quick, which is why I grow such a large fall garden, because we have cooler temperatures during the fall that allow for these plants to thrive versus 110 degree heat in the summer or extremely freezing temperatures in the winter. We don't have a very good spring here, and if you've all have seen my spring videos from the past 2 years that I have here on YouTube, it's extremely windy. Spring is actually probably my area's most disgusting season. It's extremely windy all of the time. It's dry because we have a dry season in the spring. We don't get spring rains or anything like that. And then it's very, very hot and very, very cold at the same time. Super cold at night and hot during the day. So it's just a very ugly season to be growing in, and I don't really want to spend the time trying to get these large plants to maturity before it's super hot, as well as take up space, because even though we're in the middle of winter, every single one of my garden beds is full of plants. Take, for example, this whole bed of cabbage and cauliflower. These are very young plants. They're not growing very quickly, but they are going to get as large as this, and they're going to completely cover this bed in the spring. And if I were to plant out brand new baby plants like cabbage and cauliflower in the spring, they're going to be growing for quite a while and get very, very large before I get a harvest. Well past my last frost date, which is sometime in the beginning of April. That's going to leave that bed that I have those plants in unusable for tomatoes and peppers and okra and all the awesome summer plants that I love to plant in the beginning of April. So because of my limited space and because of my abundance that I already have here now, I don't want to start any more brassicas or, strictly cool tolerant vegetables for my spring garden. I will start a couple. I'll probably start some rutabagas just because those are pretty small space plants. They don't take up a lot of real estate in a bed. I can throw them anywhere and it's one harvest. So, the rutabaga grows and I pull the whole thing out and then I have space. But mostly I am just going to be waiting until most of these plants I have in here come to maturity, see if I get a harvest off of them. and then taking them out, because as soon as my last frost hits in April, I've got tons of tomatoes and peppers and beans and squash planned. And that's my favorite gardening season, is the summer. Those delightful plants you get multiple harvests out of. Instead of, you know, one broccoli harvest for a single plant that takes up 3 square feet of space, I'm gonna get tomatoes from this one plant for several months. And that is way more worth it to me to give space in my garden for that plant than a plant the same size that's only gonna give me one harvest. So as of right now, I'm not planning on doing any spring sowing of my cabbages, my cauliflowers, my broccolis, peas. Goodness, I don't want to try peas again. I do not want to try peas again. They've been a waste of my time for the last 3 years. What else would I be planting? No more Brussels sprouts. But maybe a couple root vegetables, beets, rutabaga, radishes. Those are super quick to come to maturity and they don't take up a lot of space. And I don't feel guilty about it. Not one single bit. I am totally fine not planning for a spring garden at this moment. Usually if I were gonna do some cold tolerant spring vegetables, I would start those seeds now. On YouTube, you've seen a lot of people starting seeds now, and that's gonna be for those cold tolerant plants that can go out in February or March. I won't be doing that. I've got 2 months until I start my summer crops, tomatoes, peppers, the whole rigmarole there. And in the meantime, I don't really have any seeds to start, and that's fine by me because I'm still chilling in my season. What I am gonna do though is take this time off that I have to not be starting seeds at the beginning of the year and do my projects. It means I need to get the garden fence done. I need to get those beds built and filled full of soil in preparation for when I will need to plant out. And it just gives me more time to seed shop, which is probably not a good thing. And don't get me wrong, I know I am one of the lucky ones. Because of the place I live, I get to be here in the beginning of January, still harvesting food with plants that are still living and not buried beneath inches of snow. And I'll definitely use that to my advantage. It's amazing that I can be here dead middle of winter, still have food growing, and still have the hope and possibility of a lot of these plants producing in a couple months when it starts to warm up. Because I planted all of these plants months ago in the fall garden. I'm very lucky to be able to do that here. A lot of y'all that live up north or in different countries where it gets cold and you get tons of snow during the winter, you don't have a garden right now. And I'm sorry, that stinks. It really does. But I'm gonna use my climate to my advantage and see what I can produce in my spring garden with the plants that I planted in the fall. It's gonna be great. I'm super excited. But if you are one of those that doesn't have a garden in the winter, you should definitely check out my videos on my hydroponics tower, which is currently going great. It's also in Vivian's room, so I'm not doing any videos this week on the hydroponics tower, just so she hangs out in her room, she can have her privacy. And I did do some clips, which I'll show right here. It's growing, albeit slowly, but I've got some lettuce coming up in the back, which are the ones that I first planted, and those will be ready first. I'm very, very excited for this hydroponics tower. But it's not just for greens. I mean, you can absolutely grow fruits and vegetables in there. It take a little bit more knowledge of hydroponics to do that and a little bit more effort. You'll have to do some staking or some bracing of these plants as they get large. For me, I'm just using it for greens and herbs. Stuff that's a little bit too fragile to be out here in, 10-degree freezing weather. And it's just pretty to have inside. I mean, it's nice to be in the kitchen and need something and just have to walk to another room rather than walk all the way out here to the garden. But yeah, there are plenty of options. I mean, if you are stuck in inches or feet of snow with nothing growing in your garden, I would definitely check out some indoor hydroponic setups or even indoor potted plants just to get your green thumb fixed during the winter. Keep that energy going straight through till spring. I don't have much that I'm harvesting in the garden right now. I have a couple cabbages I could come out and pull if I needed them. I don't need them right now, so I'd rather have them living out here rather than going bad in the fridge in the house. Got tons of broccoli here in the in-ground garden that still just chugging along. I can pull it up whenever, but I could also just leave it and let it get bigger. Still got radishes, and the daikon radishes specifically, and the beets, the albino beets, which I have not seen come to a head yet. I'm not quite sure what the issue is. They're just not bulbing up like they should be. They're so tiny. I need to water this again. It's been pretty cold, so I haven't had to water nearly as much. But also the chickens have been getting in here so much, they're just scratching at the ground, which is aerating the soil, which is drying it out much quicker if they don't altogether kill the plants to begin with. Oh, a little radish. See, he got frost damaged, but the radish is still plenty good. That's what I love about root vegetables. You can basically just leave them in the ground as your storage facility. And that's so nice. All right, guys. Well, I am going to water this bed, go and edit this video, and then go to work. I will catch you guys on the next one.